Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews and welcome to 2015. Wait, what day is it? It's December. Ah, fuck! Take two. Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews and welcome to the end of 2015. It is the end, yes, okay, and it is 2015. Good. I am not good with time. So this time it's just going to be a top 5, simply because I'm running out of time and I didn't really review that many games. From your perspective, the last 6 months has just been like completely barren, and I will actually make mention as to what's really been going on in the last 6 months towards the end of the video. But for now, here they are. I wasn't going to do this, but I was inspired by a few others who did a bang-up job. In other words, welcome to the most disappointing top 5 of 2015 video you will see. What makes this circumstance extremely odd is that I didn't review many games this year, but I had played a lot of good games, so to choose only 5 is very difficult. On top of this, I still have several titles which will be done by the end of the year, which will not be included because, quite frankly, I've got plenty to go on without them. Should I have a change of heart, I'll add them to next year's video. What I will not be having in this video that I have in previous years is a bottom 5, otherwise I might as well just list all the games I reviewed all year. In addition, none of these are in any particular order, but were all amazing enough to end up in this list. So, without further ado, here are my top 5. Number 5, Gex. You could tell they really wanted to make Gex a big deal like Mario, Sonic or Rayman. And you know what, it did last for a little while. But when you flood a market with a particular genre, you have to make your protagonist charismatic, not to elevate him above all other platformers, but just to make him enough that people will pay attention, so you don't find your game at the bottom of the unwanted discounted bin. But it's not just that. It's a really well-made game, with a great theme, great visuals, well-made levels, once you get into the groove, and it has its fair share of challenge without being too ridiculous. I found it enjoyable all over, even if his lame one-liners did tie him to the 90s. Number 4, Pandemonium. If I didn't think much of Gex as a protagonist, I'm certainly going to think less of Fargus and whatever her name is. All it did was make me appreciate Gex so much more. Even though he had annoying one-liners, at least he wasn't a circus-inspired 90s hipster couple. But Pandemonium is really amazing. And I'm not even sure this is better than Gex, but you know what, it doesn't matter. I gave them both strong recommendations and I'll do it in a heartbeat again if asked. The different perspective with this 2.5D stuff was enough of a change without turning into a fucking nightmare with shitty controls like a lot of early 3D games seem to be plagued with. The levels are fun, interesting, and very unpredictable in design, even if the enemy placement was a little. The gameplay was simplistic, but they just nailed that gameplay that they could keep using throughout the game without it being anywhere close to tiresome. Number 3, NBA Jam TE. As if I wouldn't put the best basketball game of all time on my list. It's played by everyone, and even if you aren't a fan of basketball, it has the realism stripped completely and made arcadey enough that anyone can pick up and play. It also has players we all know and love because they were from that era of basketball when a lot more people cared. It has tons of content and a great multiplayer. Graphically, it was okay, it didn't blow me away, and the sound was competent enough. But the game excels in such an extremely positive way that it makes nearly every other basketball game feel like shit, and I've played my fair share. By stark contrast, case in point, NBA Jam Extreme. Number 2, Virtual Cop 2. I had some technical issues playing this game, so the reason this is on the list is the pure assumption that those problems were exclusive to me or fixable. Some said it was my TV, some said there was a mod you can do for your gun to fix these issues, but whatever this was, the game itself was amazing, and still is. Graphically on a home console, amazing. Playing with a gun, so much fun. Sound, really good. I played this for hours and hours growing up, and when I played this again, I was right back there. In fact, I could predict where the enemies were going to be because I remembered that from the last time I played, which was probably about 10 plus years ago. I wanted more than the 3 levels, but you know, that's arcade games for you. Funny how I can be so critical in one game on length and be so nonchalant in others. Number 1, Street Fighter Alpha Warrior's Dreams. I don't feel I need to justify this one. If you've played it and you're a fan of the genre, you'll know what I mean. Controls are great, and I covered a very strong point in that review when I said some games have next level immersiveness, and this is just one of them. It doesn't even need to have great graphics to have such an attribute, but this game has great graphics as well, just to give it another tick in the box. This game and games like it are everything this console stood for. I will make one honourable mention, and that's Sonic R. I didn't think my opinion would ruffle any feathers. I felt the controls were difficult to begin with and used the gameplay to demonstrate that. But you know what, in retrospect, I probably should have also used the gameplay of me coming first after the first hour or two. It doesn't help that I suck at video games, but this game was fun for what little there was. If the stiff controls weren't a gripe, it was the length. The graphics were pretty good, sound, while being wildly out of place, was really good. And I had fun. You know, eventually. And it wasn't far off my top 5, but I just had 5 better games. Biggest disappointment of 2015 goes to Space Jam. I know any game based on a movie is bound to be disappointing, but they could have just done so much with this game. And they did as little as they could. They had pictures of the devs at the end of the game, which is embarrassing, really. I know you put in effort, but the result was still poor. I've been a part of a project which was doomed from its inception. It's why I can relate to Dilbert. Cut your losses and walk away. The gameplay is worse than shallow. It's empty. It's more empty than my nutsack after the wife and I went away to celebrate our wedding anniversary. And damn, that is empty. The controls are meh. The animation's meh. The sound is bad. But you could have had a tuned, themed NBA Jam TE, which would have been so awesome. I would have played that shit every day. You could have left out a lot of the content, but still give it the same feel, and it still would have been pretty damn good. But there's none of that. Now, to answer one particular question, where have you been? I gave up on my reviews for the second half of this year, pretty much because I wasn't 100% sure I was having fun anymore. I was just doing it because I had to, or just going through the rhythms and everything wasn't as inspired as I wanted it to be. I would just go about my business until I stopped caring and then end it, but, you know, it wasn't that easy. I was still getting messages periodically from people asking me, hey, when's the next review? And that hits home because I enjoy music and videos by obscure artists and YouTube channels, and if they stopped, I would be deeply disappointed. What about a TV show you were really into but they didn't renew it for a new season, or worse yet, they cancelled it midway through the season because of ratings that were so poor? As egomaniacal as it sounds, even if there are 5 people who care that much about me, I could be letting them down like that. Music, TV, or web video creator is letting me down. And that really fucking sucks. Especially when you love that content more than anything else. I've come to terms that I'll never be YouTube famous, but maybe just a few people give a shit. And that is really awesome that you can make that much of a difference. If someone has a comment and it's constructive, I'll take it on board. Someone told me to swear less, and I told them to go fuck themselves. You know, that sort of thing. Anyway, I have a few in the pipeline, but I can't guarantee how long this will last, or whether these 6 are it forever, or what, I don't know. All I can promise is that there's a few more coming, and I appreciate anyone who watches. Anyway, thanks, and I'll see you next year.